It's an event that happens only once a year, pitting drivers from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World Endurance Championship, Red Bull Global Rallycross, and so much more. This is the 6th annual iRacing Pro Racer Champions here on RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacingLive, and it's all coming up next. We are under the lights here at Phoenix International Raceway as we welcome you to the 6th annual iRacing Pro Racer Champions here on RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacingLive. Will Vincent here along with Evan Pasoko as we've got ourselves a pure smorgasbord here of drivers from around the world of motorsports even. We've got NASCAR, IndyCar, we've got ourselves touring car racers, we've even got ourselves Mitchell de Jong from the world of rallycross.
There's no doubt that this is going to be an exciting race, and as you noted, this is the 6th time we've done this thing, and this event continues to grow year by year, Will, but we have never seen a Pro Race of Champions at Phoenix International Raceway or in these DW12 Indy cars on the sim. So we've been used to seeing the MX-5s here and there. Tonight's going to be a treat even for those who are coming back for maybe a second or third time.
And we've got iRacing today also working with CXC Simulations. We're going to be showing you over the course of this evening some of the drivers racing live here today. And the thing, Evan, as well, worth noting that iRacing and CXC Simulations will be donating a sum of $4,000 to the Justin Wilson's Children's Fund in the winner's name. Whoever wins here tonight.
It's a great deal for all the guys involved. Obviously, a lot of them enjoy being able to do something like this, and for some of them doing something a little bit out of their element, but there's a lot of stuff like this inside of the motorsports community, and then as well iRacing. Big kudos to them, and as you noted, a big thanks to CXC Simulations for not only giving us the opportunity as you take a look at some of those cameras to keep a look on board with some of these guys, and we'll have an opportunity to talk with them as well, but anytime you can have fun and help a good cause at the same time, it's that much better.
And let's talk about this track. It's a 1-mile oval. It's recently been repaved. This year, the first time in many years, they ran a Verizon IndyCar Series race here. So this is going to be a test for these drivers. It's a fast 1-mile oval. And the thing that's going to be worth noting, it's a 50-lap shootout.
Yeah, we're not going to be here long on track. These guys right now have been practicing, and they're going to get set to go into qualifying, which I think is going to be huge when you talk about the fact that it's just a small race, because 3/4 of the field, their lap times are underneath 20 seconds around this place. So that's obviously going to be important, but Phoenix is also an interesting track just in how much it has changed. Obviously, it went through this repave on the real-world side of things a couple of years ago, so not only did iRacing have the up-to-date Phoenix as of then, but obviously with the paved backstretch here, it is a closed dogleg tonight, do want to note, but we do have this updated version of Phoenix, and a couple of weeks ago, they announced that Phoenix is going to be taking quite the overhaul in the next couple of years, and that will eventually come to the sim as well. So there's a lot of different things that make Phoenix unique, but the fact that it is just a 1 mile oval, I think boring is a word that comes to mind. There's a lot of guys out there. There's a lot of guys out there that have raced at this track on the real world side of things, maybe in these cars, and a lot of other guys who have maybe driven here but with fenders on them. So I think it'd be fun to see how we see different guys compete against each other side by side.
Oh yeah, the likes of Carl Larson, Danny Hamlin, for example. Yes, they have raced this track so many times, but that's in NASCAR, and this track is a completely different beast in a NASCAR compared to a Dallara IndyCar because of the downforce levels, because of the acceleration, because of the speed. So those guys are going to take a good couple of laps to get used to it. We've seen some of the practice sessions, and the times overall are pretty close, Evan.
Yeah, you look absolutely top to bottom. The driver fastest right now, Matthew Halliday, with a 19.8, and right now at the bottom, Patrick Long with a 20.1. That's roughly 0.3 of a second between first and 24th in practice. And these guys, once they finish up these final couple of minutes of the practice session, are going to go into qualifying. That's when things are going to be very tight, because this is a fixed set of events. So everybody out there is driving with the same car. There's no advantage to anybody over anybody else. So that qualifying session is going to be important, because you're going to be out there by yourself. It'll be 2-lap single car runs. And starting first, you got a lot better chance of taking home the checkered flag at the end of the night, as opposed to having to start way back in 25th position or so, because again, 50 laps could be done here in just a matter of minutes, and it'll fly by for sure.
We talked about the fact that some of the drivers are racing today from CXC Simulations. Of course, the biggest story of that group, Evan, is Sam Schmidt for the second year taking part in this event with a specially built rig just for him. And for those people that don't fully understand Sam's story, it's been a truly inspirational one, not just for IndyCar fans, but for all racing fans over the last couple of years.
Yeah, and the ability to get in the sim here, in past years, really, something that has almost been exclusive to sim racing, but Sam's been doing this thing now in a real car, especially in this last year, actively doing things like that. And the sim that these guys have set up, and again, we have those cameras, so you're going to be able to watch as this race goes on, is really some incredible stuff. And, there's been a lot of media stuff also in the last couple of days talking with Sam, and I know that he's excited to be in this for a second year, and you're taking a look at him now as they get set to go qualifying. There's, other people that do some of the official stuff that we cover here on RaceSpot over the course of the iRacing calendar year that also have modified simulation rigs that allow them to participate. So that's obviously a great story that we'd like to keep an eye on as the night goes on. And Sam's got that first one out of the way last year. It's a little bit of a different element coming into this one, because last year we were at Watkins Glen and BMWs. He's a little bit more familiar with the IndyCar, so I'm sure he's going to have fun tonight.
Well, yeah, he actually ran races at this track in an IndyCar 15, 16 years ago. So, and this is a bit of a homecoming in many ways. The first time that you'll actually be able to see Sam in an IndyCar at a track that he once raced at when he was a driver running in IndyCars all those years ago, back in the 1990s. So, in terms of practice, we are almost done. We are almost in the books, and that means it's next time for qualifying. 2 laps is what these drivers will have. The fastest one will count. And based upon qualifying times, we're going to have ourselves a little bit of a shootout here.
Yeah, 50 laps in an IndyCar at Phoenix, you could consider, if you're talking about a full-scale race, 50 laps to go at the end. That's go time. So you're not going to have any time to stick around and wait. It is a closed dogleg, as we noted, and you've been seeing these guys warm up. You can see the cones that kind of restrict some of the space at the back straightaway. It's going to be tight. And in past years, just as it is going to be tonight, no cautions in this race. So obviously starting up front helps if you get the better qualifying time. But on top of that, these things get around here pretty quickly. You've been taking a look, and these guys have been out there. We've seen a couple of packs of 2 or 3 cars here and there. we're going to send them off to turns 1 and 2 about 30 cars deep, and it's going to be nuts. So qualifying, I think, may be the single biggest important thing that these guys have gone through so far tonight. They've done about 30 minutes of practice here tonight. They've been practicing leading up to this event. Now it's time to see what you got. You're out there by yourself. Get the best lap you can.
Yep, so those times will be coming up in the next 30 seconds or so. We've got a lot of drivers who are really going to make use of this qualifying session. Try and get yourselves out front and get yourselves into clean air at the early running of this event. Because it is only 50 laps, it means that you haven't got a lot of time to move yourselves forward. And what a surprise, we got ourselves an iRacing regular out front, and Mitchell de Jong to the top of the timing stands for the moment, but Will Power just 1/100th of a second further back. Stephen Wilson down in P number 4. Alex Gurney currently in third, and Stephen Wilson up into second place. Carl Larson to the point there. All these times are coming through, but it's now NASCAR who's taken over 1 and 2 for the moment, Evan.
Yeah, I was going to say, those first top 5s that came in up at the top of the board, they were all IndyCar times. And next thing you know, Kyle Larson jumps up to the top of the board. Denny Hamlin right now second best at the racetrack. Michael Lewis is slotted into third. And Michelle de Jong, who was leading at the time, he's completed his laps. He's right now in 6th position. But all these times, you got about the top half of the field right now below that 20-second marker.
Yeah. As these drivers, well, they've pretty much now done all their laps. Carl Larson to Denny Hamlin, 6/1000ths of a second. Your top 5 drivers separated by, well, now 17/1000ths of a second, because Josh Berry just moves himself now up into that 5th spot. That is how tight we were talking about before we came on air, Evan.
Yeah, the story was interesting when we got this track on the calendar, because it is a quote-unquote NASCAR track and we're in the IndyCars. But again, IndyCar returned to Phoenix this past year, so you would think, looking at that, as we take a look with Michael Lewis, as I believe he's going through the qualifier right now, and you know, thinking that that might give them an advantage. Larson right now, though, still P1, and you got about 23 of the 26 times or so that we're expected to come in already on the board. The last couple of guys who have yet to go, maybe hanging out, trying to keep an eye on maybe what their competition's got. A couple of the late guys going out. Timmy Hill just now out for a second run as well. He's another driver that's very much a regular here on the service.
Yeah, just having a look, by the way. Will Power in the Verizon IndyCar Series race qualified 9th. He's qualified 9th here today as well, and about the same distance back from where he was in qualifying for the Verizon IndyCar Series race. Carl Larson then from Denny Hamlin, then Michael Lewis in 3rd, Alex Gurney 4th. Josh Berry are your top 5 in terms of qualifying as it stands for the moment. Got 1 or 2 people then still out on track, still going to get themselves some laps in the books. Apart from that, most of them now are going to take themselves a quick rest. One of the things we just saw as well on our side-by-side coverage, Evan, is some of these guys are using virtual reality as well. We've seen the Oculus Rifts coming out here today.
Yeah, there's so many different ways that you can hop on the sim here and obviously experience it. Not only were you taking a look, and Lewis had the Rift on, but as well he had a motion seat underneath him, so it moves around with it. And one thing that we noticed a lot when we talked to some of the real-world guys who come on the sim is some of the biggest difference you notice is on the sim you have to use visual cues to kind of feel the car underneath you, because you can't literally feel the car underneath you. But if you have a motion rig like that a lot of guys have at CXC, you can feel the car moving around a little bit, and I think it makes those guys feel a little bit more at home. But I think that having track time on the sim is definitely something that could give you an advantage in an event like this. We'll talk about some guys as the night goes on. We've already noted a few of them. Somebody like a Josh Berry, who is not only a regular on the sim competing in championships here on iRacingLive, but also has the real world experience. And then there's other guys who have been on the sim once or twice, have experience in this event, but aren't on the sim as regular, and that's something that will definitely be interesting to keep an eye on to see if at all that gives them an advantage as far as maybe learning how the tire wear and such works on the sim. We've got a brand new build out as well on iRacing, which is something that these guys have been working with as well lately.
Yep. And if you are new to iRacing, if you're watching an iRacing broadcast for the first time here today and you want to get involved in the action, there is 50% off all new memberships right now. Just head over to iRacing.com. Qualifying is in the books, and that means we can now have a look at your starting grid for this evening's event. And well, Evan, We talked about it. Carl Larson will be bringing the field here to the green flag. Denny Hamlin alongside him, NASCAR driver number 1, NASCAR driver number 2.
Take a look back to row number 2. You'll find Michael Lewis rolling off from the number 3 position tonight. He'll be joined by Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series driver Alex Gurney in P4.
Here, number 5, the third row, you're going to have yourselves Chase Briscoe. Alongside him, he's an iRacing regular, Josh Berry in the number 88.
The 071 piloted tonight by Will Tregurtha. He'll start in the number 7 spot, and another iRacing regular, as we noted. It was top time in qualifying in the opening minutes, but Matilda Young ends up dropping back. He'll start P8 tonight.
Get ourselves to row number 5, and it's an open wheel row 5. Stephen Wilson in P number 9 in the number 9 machine. Alongside him, Horizon IndyCar Series champion Will Power in the number 7.
NASCAR and IndyCar back on the next row. Christopher Bell will start in 11 tonight, and Daniel Clark is 12.
Heading on back further, it's Timmy Hill, good old iRacing mother there, in the 13th position, along with IndyCar driver, former IndyCar driver, Hoyle Servia in number 27 in P number 14.
Rally car driver Julian Rambeau going to start tonight in 15th position as the field rolls off. Tommy Kenna behind P16. He was one of the best drivers in practice earlier tonight.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot of work to do as we head on back further. Matthew Halliday in 17th position. Alongside him, a very well-known figure in run caps. 26 drivers are racing here today. As a remainder of that grid is going to come up on your screen. It's the new iRacing pace car. It's heading itself now through the dogleg as we are almost ready to get this show on the road. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 6th annual iRacing Pro Racer Champions. Pace car is off. Let's get this show finally on the road. Green flag in the air, and here we go.
Lap 1, mile 1 and 50 into the works, and it's a battle for third. 3-1 in contact. Denny Hamlin going to go high into the outside fence. Evasive action, looks like everybody's able to get through behind him. One of the fastest drivers already with issues.
Yep, but out front it will remain Carl Larson for the moment. He has himself already a good advantage. 7/10 of a second, they're 2 wide behind him, as Alex Gurney was going side by side with Chase Briscoe moving forward at the start of this event.
And already up inside of the top 3, looks to the outside as the challenge comes from the back end. Now you got Alex Gurney and Will Tregurtha right off of the gearbox that time through 3 and 4. Nothing comes from it. Those guys stay single file. Just behind them, Mitchell DeYoung coming back up the bottom. He goes down to the yellow line to make it a side-by-side battle inside the top 5 to the dogleg.
Yeah, and Young's going to lose out to Josh Berry just for the moment as they work themselves side by side through turns number 3 and 4, and contact between them, and Berry's hard into the wall.
One of the iRacing regulars, another side-by-side scenario, got into the quarter tied and looked like it might have been contact from the inside of the racetrack as DeYoung maybe just clipped them there off into the fence. Another small bit of contact, and again, no bumpers. So some of these NASCAR guys, included Denny Hamlin in that first one, not going to be able to get away with that one here. And again, things stay clean up front, though. Kyle Larson, 0.8 of a second in front at just lap number 5.
Denny Hamlin, run caps are on pit road then, getting some early repairs, as well as Josh Berry. But out front, Carl Larson continues to lead. Your top 3 are Larson, number 42 machine. Then Michael Lewis in the number 22. He's moving his way forward at the start of this motor race. And in fact, he's moved himself up already 1 spot from where he's going. Chase Briscoe up 2 spots. He ranks himself in 3rd. Daniel Clark, he's your biggest mover inside the top 10. He is up from P12 into P7.
An all IndyCar battle, back into battle for the number 11 spot. Will Power's got it at the moment. He's dropped back a couple since he started up in a number 10 position. And Oriel Servia gave him a challenge a couple of laps ago. Servia since fallen back a little bit in that number 27 machine. And Will Power might try to move forward. There's contact in front of these guys, though. Tregurtha into it, and now Power's going to be collected.
Power and Servia involved in the incident there. They're spinning round down at turn number 3 and 4. Question's going to be, can they get going again? The answer is yes, they can. But there's a little bit of a mess there. Some guys taking on towards pit road. Alex Gurney and Will Tregurtha both on towards pit road. Will Power stays out, but it looks as though that car is damaged. He wanted to bring it down on towards pit road, and indeed, he's stopping that car.
Yeah, it was Gurney and Tregurtha who got together. As we take a look now, the battle is for P4. Well, that's the battle those guys were battling for, and actually made contact on that dogleg part, got sideways, and then obviously you saw that secondary battle with power involved catch up. Things did not end well for those guys as they sent him off down to turn number 3. So that shuffled up the running order inside of the top 5, the top 10. DeYoung, Lewis, Larson still 3, 2, and 1 up to the top. Now Daniel Clark has assumed the number 4 spot, and Chase Briscoe back where he started in 5th.
One driver is just having a race where he's pulling away. That is Kyle Larson, now 2 seconds ahead of the field. And you know what, Evan? We've so often talked about Larson maybe running the 500. You think this might just be his demo tape right now?
He might get the itch for it. He's been extremely consistent tonight, which is something that I've noticed. That again, Larson's somebody who has experience as well on the sim here and there. His time in practice and qualifying are extremely close to each other. Some guys were really good in practice, not that good in qualifying. Larson has been consistent. That's kind of his MO, and although he's not up against the fence and he doesn't have fenders, he's got it figured out. He's leading now by 2.2 seconds as we close it on the halfway point, making his way around some lap traffic this time, with Oriel Serbia also being put a lap down.
Yeah, it's worth noting, by the way, Sam Schmidt up into P number 8. He is having a fantastic motor race so far, and well, it's that whole thing. If you can avoid the early drama, you can move yourself up through the field. He's up now 16 places since the start of this event, and Kendall is also up 6 spots. He's currently running himself inside of the top 10.
Yeah, Sam Schmidt's the biggest mover in this race. Couple of guys have picked up 11 or so spots here and there, but he started 24th position and is right now in P8, which is the final spot being scored on the lead lap. Finds himself about 5 seconds off of the back bumper of the driver in front of him, Dominic Cicero, so maybe not in a spot at the moment to battle for that position, but at least for the time being, running in that number 8 position. You see your race leader, Kyle Larson, though, getting a little bit bigger out the back end.
Yeah, we've got ourselves a three-way battle developing for second place on track as well. Michael Lewis has had second place for a while, but Mitchell DeYoung is starting to move himself forward, and he's bringing with him Daniel Clark, because as it stands, actually, DeYoung's now having to play defense. Is Daniel Clark just 2 tenths of a second back? The key thing here, get yourself a good run out of turn number 4, get yourself side by side into towards turn number 1.
Daniel Clark in that number 4 spot, close it in, and maybe trying to find a spot to make a move. He's one of the IndyCar guys in this race, and no stranger to this track or these cars necessarily. And right now, kind of hanging back, 3 car lengths off for the gearbox. Not necessarily challenging, but in a position where if DeYoung slips up, he'll be right over him. Same with Chase Briscoe. Briscoe can even be a part of this battle, and as I say that, Clark may be the one that checked up a little bit at that time off of the corner, and Briscoe brings it in. So you've got 4 or so cars here so close together that while nobody's on top of each other, maybe right at this moment, if somebody slips up a little bit, somebody's going to go to pounce, and Briscoe goes to the bumper.
The interesting thing is, there's going to be a lot of traffic now. Drivers has got themselves some repairs, come back out onto track. This is where it's going to become difficult, navigating yourself through the traffic, as we had ourselves there a very close moment down around P number 4, P number 5, and we have got some action out on track. We've got a spinning car turn around right now.
That was Ron Capps. He was by himself running in 23rd spot, lost the back end a little bit coming off of the corner, and he bounced off of the fence. Denny Hamlin was there, who was involved in that turn 1 accident, back out on track. Hamlin clipped him, and it sent Ron Capps back up the hill. That might have been the saving grace for your race leaders. They were able to sneak on by. A tough break, though, for the NHRA driver as Capps is back on pit road.
Worth thinking as well that for Larson, he knows just how hard it is to work yourself through lap traffic at a track like this. I would say arguably it's harder to do it in a NASCAR than it is an IndyCar. So Larson has got all the tools he needs right now, but he has to remain patient as he works himself through traffic. 3.5 seconds is the advantage almost now from P1 to P2, so he can afford to relax a little bit when he does come up to the next set of traffic, but for the moment at least, a bit of clean air for him to deal with, as behind we still have at 3, I say a 3-horse race, it's down to a 2-horse race again.
Ty Majeski's somebody else who we haven't talked all that much about. He's another person who is a regular on the sim and in fact does a lot of the short track iRacing private leagues. He about won himself a snowball derby just a couple of days ago. He was in the lead, come down to within side of 30 laps to go, and I believe he ended up third in that one. So Ty Majeski, a familiar name here on iRacingLive. Unfortunately, he's found himself in some issues. We were also taking a look not all that long ago at Patrick Long, the Porsche factory driver, who's also a couple of laps down.
Yeah, just checking in with Patrick Long. There you can see him in the number 23 machine, running himself in 13th place for the time being. Has been on towards pit road once and almost there, coming on towards pit road again. And we saw a spinning driver there down in turn 1, and that is the car of Sam Schmidt there, right in the middle of the racetrack. He's going to try and reverse that car and get it back, pointing in the right direction. But Sam, who's moved himself up 16 positions, now he's going to have a long road back to get himself into any form of contention. Doing the right thing there, just putting it down to the inside at the dog leg. Going to get that car turned around, but re-merging onto track is going to be the hard point for him now.
Yeah, there was somebody up against the fence in front of him, and I think he tried to step it a little bit low to give some space, caught the apron there, and looped it around. But for all of the calamity that we've seen at a turn 1 today, and people ended up at a fence, he did a really good job of just spinning that car around, as you noted, but not getting into the fence. That car's still good. He's able to whip it back around and maybe try to get back going, and should still be able to end up at the end of the night in the positive, as he's now back up on the racing surface and trying to get back going.
Yeah, Carl Larson will be coming up behind him with a big head of steam in a moment, though, as he's going to put him another lap down. Larson gap now 3.6 seconds to Michael Lewis. De Jong has faded in that third place. He's not really been able to do anything over the last couple of laps. And in fact, De Jong, once again, is playing defense with Daniel Clark. De Jong doesn't seem to be as strong as Clark, working himself through traffic. It was what I was going to say. But actually, that time by, De Jong was better. And now, right onto the rear of Michael Lewis one more time.
And it's still these guys again. Lewis, De Jong, Clark, and Briscoe. 2, 3, 4, and 5. The last time at the start-finish line, less than 1.3 seconds between 2nd and 5th on the racetrack. And when you consider that there's only 7 Indy cars left on the lead lap right now, it's the bulk of the battle going on right here again for Lewis in a good spot. Slides up a little bit. Clark going to go down to the inside, and they challenge side by side and battle for 2nd.
Yeah. As just having a look through as...
Oh, contact between the two.
Ooh, yeah, and now into the wall. Oh, both drivers, Michael Lewis and Dan Clark, getting some damage there. Dan Clark is going to bring that car immediately on towards pit road. He has got a little bit of damage to that rear wing. Michael Lewis, that journey's going to be a little bit tougher for him because, well, he's got himself damaged to the right side of that car. The front end's pretty much torn off as well. But there's been some close racing here today, and it just finally came to a boil.
And it was a tough break for the IMSA driver. As we noted, again, the dog leg, which is the big difference between the old and the new Phoenix International Raceway. Something that you don't get the benefit of in these Indy cars as opposed to the NASCAR guys. I'm sure Larson kind of tempted to go down below those cones, but it really tightens things up. And that contact there, Will, in the battle for about 3rd or 4th when it was, it's about the 3rd different incident of that kind we've seen in the same part of the racetrack. They just kind of run out of real estate and maybe forget that they're that close to each other, and that little bit of contact sends both those cars straight up.
That does mean your top 5 is now a little bit more spread out than we may have liked it to be. But Larson leads from De Jong, gap 4.4 seconds. Chase Briscoe is in 3rd place. Timmy Hill in 4th. And then Dominic Cesaro in the 5th position for the time being. Most drivers have been able to get themselves back out onto track to turn some laps here today. Worth noting, we talked about Sam Schmidt, of course. He has got some damage to the right-hand side of that car and also to the rear of it from where he was trying to reverse it to get it out of the way. But he is still going, is still turning laps, running himself in P number 15. And having a look back through, actually, I was going to say earlier, Oriol Servia, although he is many laps down now compared to Carl Larson, he's been holding his own ever since he's come back out on track. Only really lost himself about half a second to Carl Larson in terms of where they are on track.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit of watching the guy in front of you and just modifying your line and seeing what you can do with it and match him. Right now it's 4.3 seconds. I'd say that's comfortable for Larson the last time by. 15 laps to go tonight from Phoenix International Raceway, but I think that if Larson has any sort of an issue, DeYoung in a comfortable position to be able to pick something up, but he can't only focus on the 42 in front of him. Chase Briscoe, not all that far behind, 2 seconds out his rear in that number 3 spot, maybe hoping to challenge. He picked up 2/10 on him the last time.
Very quickly, want to give a shout out to our friends over at CXC Simulations for the drivers running with them today, and also for helping us to get these live shots from these drivers in the 6th annual Pro Racer Champions as they take on this difficult Phoenix International Raceway, down to less than 15 laps to go. And well, in terms of battles, we have got one going on between Julian Rembrandt and Stefan Wilson, separated by about a second right now. Having a look at the lap time, so Stefan Wilson is coming, and of course he is racing for family honour as well today. Of course, $4,000 will be awarded to the Justin Wilson Children's Fund in the winner's name after the end of today's race.
We talked about that at the start of the show, that it's fun for these guys to come out, but when you're able to do something like this for a good cause, it's that much more enjoyable for these guys. And a lot of these guys know each other as well, and I think that Kyle Larson right now in the top spot would be happy to be the one to be the deliverer of that $4,000. So we talked about qualifying earlier on in this one, Will. The guys who started inside of the top half of the field, 4 of them are scored on the lead lap. If you qualified in the bottom half of the field, only 1 driver, and that's impressive for Dominic Cicero, who was snook into that number 5 spot. Outside of him, looks like that qualifying was extremely important, but he has now become our biggest mover, gaining 14 spots. Yeah,
14 spots up there for Dominic Cicero, 9 spots up for Timmy Hill. Tommy Kendall is up 7 places, has got a little bit of pressure right now from Oriel Servia, but we'll go and have a look then with Tommy Kendall in that number 29 machine. Oriel Servia, actually, as I say that, last time by was 4 tenths of a second faster. Servia's got a little bit of work to do, though, in the last 10 laps in order to take that 9th place away. Good battle, though, still going on inside of your top 10.
And while those battles are going on, that's actually going to cause a headache with your race leader, Kyle Larson. He is 2 seconds now in front of Mitchell DeYoung, so by working through lap traffic, the 24 has been able to cut that gap in half. And this is not simply lap traffic, a car here and a car there. Larson, the last time by, was just able to get by Michael Lewis, but as you noted, there's people laps down that are fighting for position. They're not just going to go high and get out of the way. So Larson, close call there down to back straightaway, still has to hold his breath with 6 to go.
1.1 seconds as a car literally almost spun out ahead of him, and there's still more traffic, and the big issue is a little bit damage in the rear wing of that car just ahead of Kyle Larson, gap down to 8 tenths of a second. I tell you one thing, Kiwani Simple Sports, the virtual racing team, have had a standout year, being potentially one of the biggest teams in all of sim racing. If they were to top it off, one of their drivers,
right in front of them again,
top it off, potentially one of their drivers, as Kyle Larson is out of the motor race.
Just at the point that I was making, is that issues in front of him. He did a great job of avoiding an incident there, but he just lost the race lead to Mitchell DeYoung. Chase Briscoe is not all that far off at the back end. The number 5 machine has since fallen a little bit, but all of a sudden, 4 laps to go, Kyle Larson has been dominant, and now he's not only lost the race lead to DeYoung, but he's lost it by 7 tenths of a second, and lap traffic in between them falling apart late for the 42 team.
Yeah, he's not out. He's in 2nd place. He's out of contention for the running, though, because he's dropped back. No, 1.1, I say that. DeYoung just tags the wall there with 3 to go, and now it's back to Kyle Larson, side by side.
Oh, he's in the fence as well. Larson's around.
Oh, my word. Kyle Larson, someone's going to have to win this motor race. DeYoung leads it once again, but now Chase Briscoe is going to close up with 2.5 laps to go.
Yeah, Briscoe catching up to him. DeYoung is going, and I'm surprised that car's moving so well with the damage. Going to be 2 laps to go this time, but here comes Chase Briscoe with a nice, clean car coming up the back end, and he'll challenge this lap.
So DeYoung leads. Chase Briscoe is coming. Chase Briscoe, all he's got to do is find a way to get around, and he will do so through the dogleg to the race lead as they come towards the white flag. It will be the number 5 machine of Chase Briscoe who will take the white flag there as he's gonna, oh my word.
Just about had to dodge another one there. Yeah, hold your breath, half a lap.
Chase Briscoe now has just got himself the dogleg, turn 3 and 4 to go, and he will be the winner of the 6th annual iRacing Pro Racer Champions. It's been a crazy 10 laps, but Chase Briscoe will win the iRacing Pro Race of Champions.
We'll talk about those final 10 laps. I mean, we had Larson way out in front of the field. He has an issue, and next thing you know, it's Mitchell DeYoung who takes over, and then DeYoung makes a mistake. Larson takes it back. He makes a mistake, and I said, don't forget about Chase Briscoe. He might have been 6 seconds back at 10 laps to go, but he kept the car in one piece, and he was able to hang back. Those guys made a mistake. He was able to have enough of a gap back to the guys behind him. Timmy Hill ends up 3rd in this race, picking up a spot late from Dominic Cicero, and Chase Briscoe ran this model race tonight. He's in victory lane as your winner of this 6th annual NASCAR Pro Racer Champions and a first-time winner.
Yep, so it's the ARCA Racing Series who take top honors there with Chase Briscoe in the 6th annual iRacing Pro Racer Champions. Let's get a look then at your final results here. It has been a fantastic event. Chase Briscoe wins out by 1.5 seconds over Mitchell DeYoung. Timmy Hill rounds out your top 3 with Dominic Cicero in 4th and Will Vergutha in P number 5. Alex Gurney in 6th. Kyle Larson, after leading most of the laps here today, finishes in 7th. Then Julian Rembrandt, Stefan Wilson and Oriol Servia round out your top 10.
Couple of the next few guys still on track when this one was all said and done, and a couple of battles for position got sorted out at the end. Michael Lewis comes home at 11th spot with Daniel Clark behind him in 12th. Clark was able to hold off Tommy Kendall late in this one. The number 88 of Josh Berry comes home at 14th, and Denny Hamlin started 2nd, top 10 car in practice. Things were looking good, ends up 15th position after that contact off in turn number 1. Sam Schmidt had a good car going, had an issue late in this race, was able to bring it home in 16th position, still +8, but it's all said and done. The best driver in practice, Matthew Halliday, comes home in 17th position. Ben Wendell coming home behind in number 18th position. Townsend Bell will round out through 19th position, and Will Power in P20.
We're going to step aside for just one moment. When we come back, we're going to have interviews, thoughts and reactions from the 6th annual iRacing Pro Racer Champions. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
iRacing is the most accurate online racing game and simulation available to the general public. The iRacing service allows you, the race fan, the real-world racer, the race enthusiast, the gamer, to race virtual replicas of real-world cars and at real-world, world-class racetracks. iRacing laser scans all of its content to millimeter accuracy, which gives you a digital replication of that car or track. Whether you want to race for online championships, race your buddies in a league, or test for an upcoming real-world race, iRacing has what those sim racers, gamers, race fans, and real-world racers are looking for. Unparalleled accuracy with loads of fun wheel-to-wheel excitement. Because of the solid community that iRacing has built, along with that attention to detail, iRacing has been able to form official partnerships with renowned motorsport organizations such as NASCAR, SRO, IMSA, V8 Supercars, and others to develop professionally sanctioned online racing series for our members to participate in. This is unique to iRacing.
When we started iRacing, we kind of fundamentally wanted to take a different approach with licensing and treat them more like partnerships. You know, for instance, NASCAR was one of our first big partners that we brought in, and it's a great way to market your product. There is a growing sense that the virtual space is a great way to interact with the fans of your real-life series. Simulation in itself is just becoming more and more popular in the real racing world, and it's natural to think that to be successful in the real world in these racing series, you're going to have to be up to speed with simulation at this point, because it's the only way that you can actually get any testing done.
One of the things that we've realized in partnering with iRacing is that it allows us to expose the sport to a much broader audience than we've ever had the ability to reach out to. Not many people have the opportunity to drive a race car. iRacing breaks down those barriers and lets you do that. So for us, we're able to expose racing in general and the sport of NASCAR to a much broader audience from that standpoint. It engages people in NASCAR in general. So they like iRacing. If they don't want to become a professional race car driver, they get a feel for what the sport's all about. They're more apt to either go to a race or watch on TV.
iRacing's ever-growing global online community is very appealing to IMSA and what we're trying to do and grow our product as well. Clearly, iRacing is a leader in sim racing and logical and attractive partner for us to be with. For sim racers who have not been exposed to IMSA before, this is a great way to entice them to come check our product out on television or attend our events in person.
At this point now, we're actually getting contacted by racing series and tracks and manufacturers because they want to be involved in iRacing, because they see the value of having that sustained exposure to key demographics for them. Over the last few months, we've done partnerships with the SRO, who is the sanctioning body for the Blancpain GT series in Europe. IMSA, which is obviously the sports car series here in the US. They're two of the newest partners that have gotten on board with this idea that there is a way to kind of bring their brands into iRacing and create these virtual series that have real meaning to consumers of our product and fans of their series.
Next to the traditional ways of promoting the championships through TV, through media, through all forms of internet, we appreciate the growing importance of gaming. iRacing offered a very realistic platform where high-level players can get the nearest to the specificity of our type of racing.
Companies like NASCAR or Blancpain Series or IMSA don't just partner up with everybody. They see how authentic we are, how realistic the racing is, how much effort we put into making things real and fun and exciting for our members, and that's how we get to work with these companies. It helps us both engage our existing customers. It's more exciting to race when you're racing an actual NASCAR series versus just a stock car. And it also helps us reach new people, because new people, they follow these series in the real world and they want to get as close to them as they possibly can.
One of the things we love about iRacing and what they've created there is that it really emulates what we do in real life in NASCAR. You have to work your way up, you have to train, you have to become better at every single level in order to make it to the very top. iRacing was the perfect partner with the technology that they had to offer, really the best of anything that was out there, and they created the most authentic racing experience that anybody could find. Short of getting in an actual race car, you're not going to find anything closer to real life than what you'll find in iRacing.
Welcome back to post-race coverage from the 6th annual iRacing Pro Racer Champions. It is ARCA Racing's Chase Briscoe who takes victory here today by 1.6 seconds over Mitchell de Jong. And well, Evans, first 25 laps were dream, and then it all went crazy at the end.
Yeah, I mean, we thought that we kind of got through things. We got to the halfway point. The guys had kind of spread out. We had a couple of battles here and there, and we actually had that great fight going on for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Next thing you know, a couple of guys make contact there. It shuffles up the top 5, and the lead got exchanged between 3 drivers a handful of times in those final 5 laps. And somehow, when it's all said and done, the guy that flew right under the radar, Chase Briscoe, is the one that gets the job done over de Jong.
Well, we're going to have ourselves a couple of interviews in a moment's time. Thank you to everyone who's been a part of our coverage tonight on social media. Don't forget, if you are new to iRacing and you want to get involved with iRacing, all you need to do, head over to iRacing.com right now. 50% off all new memberships. And by the way, Evan, we've already got a suggestion for next year. Let's get these guys running at the Nordschleife.
I saw that one. That's one of the newer tracks on the sim. I know that we wouldn't be able to get away with 50 laps at that one, and I think it might be a little bit more difficult to keep track of everybody. Why not? I mean, we've seen a variety of different tracks in this, but again, this was the first year we saw Phoenix. It was also the first year that we've seen these Indy cars. We've had basically everything else: BMWs, NASCARs, McLarens, and so on and so forth. We know that something's going to be coming up in 2017. Just don't give these guys too many ideas.
Yeah, we'll come out with some more thoughts on that in a little bit. We're going to start our interviews then with a driver who came home in second place here today. It's a driver of the number 24 machine. He drives normally in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series and occasionally in iRacing special events. It is Mitchell de Jong. And, well, Mitchell, congratulations on ruining what is almost a perfect season for Commander.
No, thank you. Yeah, I was so close to that win. Just got kind of hit 3 to go and kind of ruined our chance, which is a bit unfortunate. But no, it was a fun race. I'm still not really sure what happened. I think we started 8th and somehow made it up to the front. I think we were going underneath cars and next to cars that were flipping constantly. So I'm not really sure exactly what happened. It's my first time using an Oculus Rift as well, so it was quite exciting to see all the wrecks. But no, I had a blast. It was a great race.
How was that experience for you of using the Rift for the first time? And also, how's the experience of being at CXC and running in the iRacing Pro Racer Champions?
It's super cool. You have a lot of great guys here that race in all different types of different racing that we can all get together and have a cool race like this. And seeing on these simulators, one of my first times with a motion rig as well. Got to try it a few times before, and a Rift. It's kind of like the best you can get. It's tons of fun. Yeah, it was just an all-around great race. I can't complain.
Well, your 2016 is almost in the books. You might be running with us on Saturday, but next year, 2017, another big year for you. What's your thoughts? What's your plans as you head into a new year of racing?
Yeah, next year for me, the plan is to do Rallycross full time once again, and do a few more races than last year. Hopefully get the full-time season and hopefully do well in that. In addition to that, we'll do the Blancpain Endurance Series and the World Championship Series, along with some special events on iRacing. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. It's going to be a busy year for sure.
It will be indeed. Thank you so much, Mitchell de Jong. Before we let you go, any sponsors you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, absolutely. Big thanks for to CXC for letting us come out here and have a fun race. That's for a great cause. Coanda, Anwar Design, EC Sim Hardware, Dual Reel Timing, everyone that supports me, and thank you guys, RaceSpot, for having this great broadcast and putting on the show.
Well, thank you very much. Mitchell de Jong, second place here today in the number 24 machine. And Evan, in those last 10 laps, he had almost won the race. He had not won the race. He almost won the race again. Ends up in second place. Got to commend him, though, for getting a damaged race car home in those last 4 laps.
I'm surprised that the car was able to come home in P2 because you saw the damage on it, and maybe if this was a 49 lap race, he would have threw a block on Briscoe there when they came to 1 to go, which is where the pass was made. But yeah, he had the accident, thought that this thing was done. Next thing you know, the car in front of him disappeared and came up 1.5 seconds short in the end. But P2 out of what was a 25 car field tonight, pretty good for him.
Well, next in our list, we have got the opportunity to have a chat with Timmy Hill in a little bit. We'll try and sort that one out in a moment's time, but we have got more interviews also taking place from CXC Simulations as well. And Evan, before we go any further, it's worth noting that those guys have done a fantastic job here today, getting all of these rigs set up and actually to enable all of these racing drivers to have a really fun end to their racing year.
Yeah, because not only were they able to get into this event partially because of those guys, and a big thanks to them for being able to do so, but I think a little bit more fun for them as well to an extent, Will, because a lot of guys hanging out there, and I'm sure chatting it up now as the race was done and having fun with each other. And again, I think the best thing is not only do we get to see them as we're going to talk to the rest of these guys here in just a minute, but watching them on board, I think, while the race was going on was by far the coolest.
Well, next up, we are going to have Alex Gurney. Evan, take it away.
Yeah, I believe we've got Alex Gurney on the mic. Alex, you with us?
I am with you.
Well, thanks for doing this, and thanks for hanging out with us afterwards. A good race for you guys. The car looked fast. You guys looked comfortable out there. Started fourth. You ended up sixth. I know it was 2 laps down when it's all said and done, but same kind of a result can't be said for some of these other guys. How'd it feel out there?
It was fun. Did the audio go out there?
We got you.
Okay. Yeah, it was cool. We had all wondered, being an oval and kind of wide open when the tires are good, whether the race was going to be any good. And it was fun. It was difficult with all the traffic at the start. I felt like I was in a good position in fourth and kind of dicing for third. And tangled with somebody, a few laps in. I don't know who it was on my left side, but crashed and had to pit, and that was kind of the end of it for me. After that, I just tried to stay out of trouble, and guys were just flying through the air and crashing left and right, and ended up sixth. So I'll take that.
A good result for you guys. I know that this Indy car a little bit different than your regular ride. One thing that we were talking about over the course of the night was some of the differences between obviously racing here on the sim and what you do on the real world side of things. For you being over there at CXC with a lot of the other guys, what was the sim rig that they had you hooked up with, and how did that kind of play into tonight?
Yeah, I mean, CXC is one of the coolest places on earth, I would say. I got to try both the Oculus, which I had never tried before, so the real VR experience, and I was completely blown away. I'm definitely going to buy one. It really immersed you. It was like not just a little bit better, but like 10 times better, or 10 times more real, where you can look around in the cockpit and see your pants and the side of the car, and really immersive. I ended up doing the race in the normal sim, which is also great. So maybe next year I'll go with the Oculus.
I know that this race falls towards the end of the calendar year, and just a couple of weeks left in 2016. So for those who want to keep track of you, where are we going to see you come the 2017 calendar year?
Well, I'm not really racing right now. I haven't raced since 2014, and got a lot more involved in All American Racers, the family business, and kind of what I'm working on. This is my lately my one event of the year.
Well, maybe we'll look forward to seeing you as we do this again for a 7th time in about 365 some odd days. Before we let you take off, is there anybody else you wanted to say hi to?
You want me to do a Pruitt and say hi to my family at home? No.
Do it.
Anyway, no, I just want to. No, I want to thank everybody here. We show up, and they have all these guys here like tending to our every need, and CXC is a awesome place, and these simulators just getting more real every year.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you with us tonight, Alex. Thanks for sticking around and chatting. Congratulations on the good result, and hopefully we will see you down the line.
Thank you.
That was your 6th place finisher tonight. Will Alex Gurney from Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Racing comes home with a great result tonight. And again, kind of to the point that we were talking about just before we talked with him, I think that all those guys hanging out at CXC had a good time tonight.
Yeah, they did. And that's one of the good things as well, is that we've got so many people from so many different forms of motor racing that have come together here tonight. And in some ways, there is that little bit of series pride that does go on. NASCAR want to beat IndyCar. The IMSA series wants to beat the drivers from the World Endurance Championship, so on and so forth. But in the end, I think they've all had a really fun time tonight.
And talking about guys, who do this event a couple of times and returning, I think that as well, the IndyCar was something new. I think that we didn't take it easy on him by any means. We could have tossed him out there, at a larger track that gave these guys a little bit more room. But I think that, as Alex had noted there on the start, and we talked about qualifying earlier on, these guys having to work in and around each other, where a lot of these guys, they don't race with the guys that they were around tonight because they race in completely different kinds of racing. So I think that as well was a little bit fun to kind of poke fun at.
Indeed. Next up, we're going to have a chat then with Oriel Servia, driver of the number 27 machine today. And Oriel, you came home in 10th place here tonight, but this is an interesting event, of course. You're back in an IndyCar. How was it for you tonight?
To start with, was a lot of fun. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we're fine.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it was fun. Just listen, anytime you can go and race drivers from all different series, it's just a great challenge because, you know, we're used to racing the guys that we race all the time or for 20 years, and you always wonder, how good is Denny Hamlin? How good is Kyle Larson, you know? And they showed today they are really good. I honestly had my money on Hamlin today. We were practicing early in the afternoon, and not only I saw him as the fastest guy out there, but I could tell, you know, he obviously has great racecraft, and, you know, he was doing all the smart moves. Unfortunately, I didn't see what happened to him at the beginning of the race, but it was just a lot of fun. It just, I have to say, the configuration of Phoenix with an IndyCar, it's already crazy in real life, and on a sim, no matter how real it is, it just basically allows to make idiotic moves a little too easy, and we all can make them. And we all did, as you could see. It was hard to keep, you know, the car on track without crashing. And I mean, me, for example, I had two crashes. First one was with Willpower, which we've raced wheel to wheel for many years, and we're good friends. And, you know, we had a plan to just get to the front, but somehow I was just looking at the replay right now. I think around lap 7 or 8, someone was in his inside and he moved, and, you know, we both crashed. But then I ended up coming out of the pits just behind Larson, who was leading, and I followed him for like 20 or 30 laps. It was fun. And then a moment of confusion, I passed him. So I thought, okay, I unlapped myself. Now maybe there's, depending what happens in the last 10 laps, I have a shot. But I think Matt Halliday came out of the pits on new tires and forgot that the rest of us were out there on old tires, and, you know, you cannot go flat on old tires, and he just ran me over with a lap to go. But that's what it is. It's a lot of fun, man. I love any type of challenge like that. I mean, I play even the silliest racing games on my phone, believe it or not. And so anything like this, it's always fun.
You talk about how you're good friends with Willpower. You guys are going to be okay when you get to the Speedway next year, then? You're not going to fight it out over the fact you two had an incident?
Oh, listen, we do race iRacing against each other almost like every 2 weeks. Yeah. So we're definitely used at crashing against each other.
And you talk as well about just how crazy running a Dallara IndyCar is at this Phoenix Motor Speedway. In terms of iRacing and what you do on iRacing, how does it help prepare you for actually riding a real life Horizon IndyCar Series car?
Listen, I've been playing video games for a long time, video racing games. When iRacing came out, it definitely brought the level of any commercial, let's say, simulator to another level. And it's just unbelievable. I love it. I think it's great. I try to always, whenever I have a race, do some laps at that track on iRacing, definitely. I do, however, do something different than most other guys. Let's say if I have a race in an IndyCar in Elkhart Lake, I'll go to Elkhart Lake on iRacing, but I'll race something else than an IndyCar. Just because, I don't know, I think like it's so close to reality, but it's not. You know, it's not your car. Even testing someone else's car is never the same. So I just rather really learn the track and get my mind used to the problems that you'll have in that track, less related to the car itself. I don't know if I make any sense.
No, that makes complete sense. Thank you so much for being a part of our coverage tonight. Before we let you go, any fans, sponsors you'd like to give a shout out to?
Listen, all the fans that are out racing, whenever I log in, and it's great when people recognizes you, like, oh, you're Serbia IndyCar driver. You know, it's great. I mean, it just I think anyone that plays iRacing is definitely shares the love for racing and driving fast, like we all lucky professionals do. So it always amazes me how good some of the guys that only get to do it on iRacing and race for real, how great they are. Like Power and myself, we talk about it all the time. Like we definitely put a lot of hours into it, and some guys just kick our ass week in, week out. So just, you know, cheers to them, and keep practicing. And I promise we will keep logging in and giving them a chance to beat the guys that do it for the living.
Well, thank you so much there. Oil Serbia coming home today in the 10th position. And Evan, it is worth noting as well that last year IndyCar actually sanctioned a virtual online racing series on iRacing. So the likes of Serbia, the likes of Willpower, a number of iRacing drivers have had the chance to go toe-to-toe with them.
Yeah, which, as he noted, is the great thing in iRacing as well. In that series specifically, which was right here on RaceSpotTV, but as well, even if you're not in a specific racing championship, anytime you're on iRacing, you can go up into a hosted race, and there's been a couple of times where I've seen, a NASCAR driver, somebody like a Bubba Wallace Jr., toss up a session at the track that he'll be racing at in 5 days' time, and you hop in there and have some fun with these guys. So as much as iRacing can be and is utilized, especially by the newer generation of drivers as a serious training tool, it's also a lot of fun to hop onto anytime.
And I always say, Oriol Servia, arguably one of the best all-round drivers in the history of the IndyCar series. We have got more drivers to speak to. It's like a parade here, Evan. We're literally parading them around the interview booth at CXC. So next up, we will have Michael Lewis. Finished outside the top 10, but was running high in the early going.
Yeah, missed it by one spot. He and Oriol Servia were on the same lap there when it was all said and done, and it came down to the end of it. And, talking about Oriol and some of those other IndyCar guys, they had IndyCar at Phoenix here exactly, just earlier on, really, technically this season still. I'm getting ahead of myself thinking that we're already into the new year. So it was fun to see those guys, and you thought that maybe they would have had a little bit of an advantage, and they thought the NASCAR guys might have had a little bit of advantage. So that was kind of interesting to hear. I believe we do have our 11th place finisher now, Michael Lewis. Michael, you with us?
Yes, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
We're fantastic. How's it going for you guys? Looked like good. Started up at a number 3 spot, and I think like most people found some issues here and there. There's not a lot of space at a track like this, but you guys get a P11. Outside of the result, it looked like you guys were having fun for sure.
Hey, this is such an awesome event. Thank you to CXC Simulations, you guys, and the competitors for putting this on. It's all about the competition. I mean, where else can you online race against your best buddies? All at a high level for a fun event like this. So all smiles here, and like you said, started off strong, ran up there with the top guys there, and it was a pleasure to be involved in this race in general. So yeah, so much fun.
You've been behind the wheel of really just about anything when you start to count and think about it. I know you can now add a virtual IndyCar DW12 to that. What was that IndyCar like out there at Phoenix? Because we've been talking a lot, especially with all the IndyCar guys in here, about how we've seen IndyCar guys on the real-world side of things come back to Phoenix in the past couple of months for real-world racing. And the IndyCar guys also had a series here on the sim where they were racing against some of the iRacers. So coming into this as the outsider, if you will, how was that IndyCar for you?
Yeah, to be honest with you, what I look at any race car, how I look at it is it's just a car with a steering wheel, pedals, and it has a certain amount of grip. And once you find the limit of that grip, you have to kind of back it down from there. So I just approached it like that. I had a lot of downforce experience, but so much emotion was involved in this race. First mastering the car, then mastering the track and the competition, and then just trying to deal with the emotion, running up front and trying to bring home the victory. So it's such a nice place, especially at CXC Simulations and via sim racing and iRacing, to enter and to put yourself in a world that's actually pretty dang close to the real thing, So but in terms of the car, just kind of approached it as if I would, like you said, approach anything.
I know that sim racing in general is starting to grow in popularity, especially in the last couple of years, and iRacing a big part of that. Some of the older drivers, if you will, skeptical about it, but I know that a lot of the upcoming guys really dive deep into this simulator stuff. How do you see something like this at iRacing that a lot of drivers use as a training tool be effective and able to maybe not necessarily be right on with real life? And I think that as we were talking, I believe, with Oriol earlier, a little bit safer as far as if you junk your car here, you're not going to be feeling it tomorrow morning. But how can the sim, for you as one of the younger guys associated with racing and such, kind of see the future of sim racing going?
The simulation aspect of it presents two sides, in my opinion. Just like Oriol said, you don't have to spend that much if you go off, but mainly, you have one side of learning a track, where's the corner, where's the next corner, more or less some rough braking points or whatever. And then the second side, besides just learning the track and honing your driving skill to catch a car, to have an oversteer or whatever, besides that, I feel that sim racing provides, like I'm bringing back the word emotion, and it's really, again, like I can totally attest to this, the closest thing you can get to the real thing. So when you're on the grid about to go off into a real race, if you're on pole position or whatever, there's some pressure. And there is the same here because you don't want to make a mistake. You don't want to, come in second place. So I feel like sim racing provides that emotional stress that you need to go through if you want to be a professional racing car driver.
I know that the holidays are coming up here before we know it. It's going to be 2017. What are your plans?
Everybody, unless some already have plans sealed, are probably saying, they're working on it, and that's what I'm doing. I'm so grateful for the opportunity I had this past year to race a GT3 Porsche and in the Pro World Challenge. So we'll see what happens next year. I love road racing, I love ovals, whatever, but working on some road racing stuff. But we'll see. You'll know soon enough.
We'll let you get home in a second. Before we let you go, any other sponsors or shout-outs that you wanted to say hi to?
I just want to say thank you to you guys. Thanks to iRacing. Thanks to the sim racing community. Thanks for the fans watching this and CXC Simulations putting this all together for us cool guys and girls to take part of this. So without you, we wouldn't be able to do this. And yeah, thanks to the fans for watching. So we'll go on Twitter and see who else is talking about this. But thanks to all you guys who are making this happen.
That's your 11th place finisher in this year's iRacing Pro Race of Champions, Michael Lewis. Michael, thanks for chatting, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. Take care, guys.
And it's worth noting, Evan, that, those first 20 laps, he was right up there in the mix. And I'd say there was about 6 or 7 drivers who could have had a shot at winning this event over the course of it. But it comes back to what we said in the early going. Qualifying was important.
Yeah, and he was one of the drivers when I noted that at one point in this race, when we had 5 guys in that battle up front, 4 of those 5 were guys that qualified in the top half of the field, and he did that. He didn't have an exceptionally stellar time in practice down in 16th position, but he qualified 3rd and was a part of that 3 or 4 car battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and so on and so forth for a lot of this race. And, you can kind of put him into the category with somebody like a Denny Hamlin or somebody else who we saw up front earlier on in this one, like a Kyle Larson, who had a good run tonight. 50 laps just wasn't their magic number.
Indeed. So in a moment's time, we're going to get ourselves an interview with Sam Schmidt, who, well, for the most part, was running around solidly in P8, Evan. Just had himself a bit of a mishap about 2/3 of the way through the event.
Yeah, and we saw that he did a good job of recovering and being able to stay out there. Unfortunately, I know that it didn't end the way that he wanted it to do, and we talked earlier on in the broadcast about the sim rig that the guys at CXC had hooked him up with, and we were able to keep a look on in that live actually during the race. We saw him hanging onto that car and try to get back going. But as well, we talked about how this kind of technology that he was using tonight, not exclusive to something like iRacing. He drove up Pikes Peak earlier this year. So Sam, a guy who's second time here at the Pro Race of Champions, and would love to see him again.
Cool. So we're going to get our word with Sam in just one moment's time. Sam finished in 16th place in this event. Just having a look through some stats. Actually, that's higher up to where his 2 team drivers finished in the real life Horizon IndyCar Series race. Because the mayor of Hinchtown was 18th, Mikel Alushin 17th. So he's beating the guys who he owns, shall we say.
At mid-pack run, you could walk away and say it's a decent points night. I know that, the guys come into this, and obviously everybody wants to win, and Chase Briscoe did an exceptional job. I mean, again, we talk again with that battle with him, DeYoung, and even Larson, who, you look at the stat sheet, it'll show 7th place. That's not the whole story. Sure, you want to come into here, you want to win the race, but at the end of the day, I think that these guys were just here having fun, and I am sure, Will, that Sam had lots of fun being behind the wheel of an IndyCar tonight.
Yep. So we've just got ourselves just quick intermission. In the meanwhile, it's worth noting that of the drivers that finished, we're going to have to, at the end of this broadcast, total up the maths and see which series won out overall. And I do think NASCAR might have just edged IndyCar in that one-on-one battle.
That'll be something interesting to take a look at. I know that, again, the IndyCar guys thought the NASCAR guys would have it, and I think it might have even been vice versa. So that might be a little bit of bragging rights up for grabs that we'll take a peek at later.
So now we have got the opportunity to talk to Sam. Good evening, Sam. You came home 16th here today in your number 16 machine. However, for the majority of the race, you were running inside the top 10. Talk us through your second iRacing Pro Racer Champions.
I was pretty excited coming here just because I did, lots of laps at Phoenix and different banking and all that stuff. But I was looking forward to it. More difficult than the road course because I've got to blow on the straw to go, and being pretty much flat out. Got pretty winded pretty quick, but nevertheless, it was great. It was a very familiar track for me and busy as we expected. Probably half the fun was I had a lot of people behind me watching the monitors, and as we were dodging cars and flipping cars and everything, it was just like ooh oh wow, so that was about a bunch of fun, but it was great. The goal was definitely a top 10, so a little disappointed we didn't get that in the end, but it was a lot of fun.
Now talk us through, for the people who haven't had a chance to see your rig today, talk us through the way that you're able to race in this event through the rig that CXC have provided for you.
Yeah, well, this has been about a 2.5-year evolution with Aero Electronics. They first approached to drive a Corvette, which we've done a lot now. We've gone 152 in the Corvette and raced up Pikes Peak this year and checked a lot of boxes. Even got my actual driver's license 2 months ago with the technology on the Z06 Corvette. And so everything we do to the Corvette is actually tested on the simulator first. They've got a CXC simulator up in Denver, and anything we want to do new to the Corvette we put on there. And like anything in technology, just like your cell phones, it's evolved immensely over 2.5 years. We've gone from a very sort of ugly set of headwear and mouth stick and just a bunch of stuff to where it's now, as you can see from the broadcast, just a pair of glasses and this mouth stick that I blow into to go and suck to stop. But literally all I do is turn my head and the car turns left or right, and I blow in a straw and it goes very progressively, and then I suck to stop. And so it's very intuitive, but the biggest thing that I've had to learn is that with the race car driving, you always want to be looking ahead in the corner, and you can't do that with the system, because if I look ahead, the car turns into the wall. So you got to be very deliberate, and very focused on what you're doing. But it's been a blast, been a great opportunity. We've hired a lot of people, and the application of the technology is really helping a lot of people. So that's the cool side of it. Not only get to have some fun, but get to do some good with it.
I've got some good news and some bad news. The bad news is it's your first non-top 10 finish in an IndyCar race at Phoenix. But the good news is we did the research, and you did finish higher compared to your two team drivers. So do you have a little bit of pride out of that one? And overall, how has it been racing alongside people not only from the Verizon IndyCar series, but other series along at 60 Simulations here today?
I think it was kind of unsaid going into here that Oriole, myself, Townsend, and Will were all looking at each other going, so we got to finish ahead of those guys. So to finish ahead of Townsend and Will was really good. I'm gonna use that all next season. You can bet that. But I'm sure Oriole's gonna be tugging on my coat looking for a job. But he's got one for next year, so that's good. But to see the diversity of the field was fantastic, and it was really getting it after it there for most of the race, so that was good.
Well, before we let you go, I know there's a number of fantastic organisations that you support, a number of sponsors to thank as well. Floor's yours. Who would you like to give a shout out to?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, our Conquer Paralysis Now non-profit organization is out there trying to solve this problem, big picture for the rest of the world, and working at that very hard. Our team, I mean, without Aero Electronics and this technology, I wouldn't be able to compete here at all. So they're also become the primary sponsor on our IndyCar with the Dancing with the Stars guy, James Hinchcliffe, and So that's excellent, and we're just looking forward to 2017. We're totally focused on trying to win races, win the championship, and so thanks everybody for the support. My phone's been blowing up all night from people to watch the broadcast, and so I think great all-around event. We saw, I think, a much higher caliber of all-around drivers this year over last year, and so I just hope it keeps getting better and better every year.
Thank you very much, Sam Smith. Then coming home in the 16th place here today, but Evan, that top 10 run that he had at the start of this event, absolutely fantastic, and it shows as well just the level of innovation that sim racing can bring, not only to amateur wannabe racers, but also in helping to develop new technologies and new ways of helping people get back on the road.
And again, I think the biggest thing, and you can just look at as we, we had those cameras over the course of the race, and I think that's the single biggest thing is we can talk about all this technology, but to be able to see it working live, where you've got, Sam driving a car on the right-hand side of your screen, and on the left side, he was going around Phoenix International Raceway is incredible stuff. I know that a lot of the stuff that we do outside of this kind of an event, there's a lot of people on the service, with prosthetics and such, and other different sort of sim rigs that they've developed themselves at home, that allow them to participate in this. So it's always, good stuff when you can, find solutions to stuff like this. And, Sam did a good job here tonight with his second time. And I agree with the comment that he said, that I think that we saw a lot of great drivers here in this one, and it's been the the sixth time we've done this thing, the iRacing Pro Race of Champions. I hope that not only do we see Sam back in the future, and I know he had fun tonight, so maybe we can draw him back if we pick at IndyCar again for next year, but also seeing the big names continue to participate again in a fun event, but also, as we've noted a couple of times, a great event when we talk about the charitable donation that's made on behalf of the winner to the Justin Wilson Children's Fund.
Yep, indeed so. And of course, that will be donated in Chase Briscoe's name. A fantastic organization, and I could wax lyrical for the next 2 hours about the organization that's been set up in Justin Wilson's honor. But one of the things I just want to talk very quickly about, Sam, he was talking about it. The IndyCar guys wanted to beat the NASCAR guys, the NASCAR guys wanted to beat the IndyCar guys. Ali Sam can hold his head high when they come to the first race of the IndyCar season 2017, saying, look, I beat a former IndyCar world champion.
And he came to, again, a track that IndyCar returned to this year, but a track that, I guess, at a first glance, you might think of as a NASCAR track, because NASCAR's been here for the better part of the last 10 or so years, and that, finishing ahead of some other guys. He mentioned Townsend Bell, Will Power, some other names, Christopher Bell, a NASCAR guy he beat out in this one. But again, we're all talking about this, well, based on the fact that Sam finished in 16th position tonight. If he didn't have that issue, he could have been a top 5 car tonight when it was all said and done. He kind of played the same strategy game that our race winner Chase Briscoe did, and that was hang back. If those guys want to go off there 3 wide, have at it, hang back, and eventually that's what got Chase Briscoe to win here, and it's what got Sam such a good result up until the point where he had that issue.
Yeah, and we have still got a couple of people to talk to. We're going to get Matt Halliday in just a moment's time. I do have to say, we were going to talk to a couple of other people. Townsend Bell, I couldn't talk about his dress sense here tonight, which is a bit of a shame. But Matthew Halliday is here now. He finished 17th in the number 21 machine. Evan, over to you.
Yeah, a good result for somebody who I think would have wanted a little bit more. Matt, you guys were the number 1 car in the practice session tonight, so something must have clicked for you.
Yeah, it was good. I just don't know what happened in qualifying. I think I made a bit of a mistake, clipped the apron a couple of times. So we started down the back, and then of course it was chaotic out there. So I don't know. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry half the time, but it was a lot of fun.
We've been talking a lot about the little bit of a rivalry that was going on tonight, between the NASCAR guys and the IndyCar guys. But there was a lot of, the road races out there, and you yourself included in that category. Hopping onto the oval here tonight, I said that we didn't pick an easy one for you. This is a tight one, and it is a fast one. You guys take the green flag, and you got a fast car. You're in the middle of all that chaos. How was the race?
Yeah, look, it was a lot of fun. Like I said, when you're kind of starting in the middle to the back of the pack, you're really just trying to avoid the carnage, which I managed to do for about the first 3 seconds of the race, and then we were in the wall at turn 2. But look, overall, it's a lot of fun. The iRacing platform's fantastic. We're very lucky over here at CXC Simulations to have a fantastic simulator, and so those two things combined, it's normally a great training tool we use on a regular basis. But obviously a great laugh to get a bunch of guys from all over the world, different disciplines, and I've done this a few times before. It's an enjoyable experience.
I know that you, much like some of these other guys, a jack of all trades, if you will. We've got you down as V8 Supercars. That's nowhere near covering everything that you've piloted. This was a very quick race. I know, hopping on with the guys and having some fun. The race itself didn't last all that very long. It was nowhere near, say, a 24 hours of spa, which is something that you're well accommodated with. Coming into this event, did you guys have any sort of specific goal, or was it really just what you were talking about, just having some fun with these guys and chatting it up?
Yeah, no, just a bunch of fun, man. Like we spend a lot of time over here on the sim, over at CXC, and obviously on the iRacing platform as well. And it's always a good laugh. There's a few racing drivers living in Los Angeles, so we always get together and have a little bit of a run. And obviously it'd be great to go out and jump on a real track, but that's more and more difficult these days. So simulations become a very useful tool and also a lot of fun.
A little bit more expensive as well, I think, based on the result for some of these guys.
Yeah, if that was a real race, it'd be a lot of unhappy team owners, I can assure you that.
I know that we dropped the checker a while ago, so we'll let you take off. Before we let you go, any sponsors or shout-outs that you wanted to say hi to while we got you?
Oh, just CXC Simulators, thank you.
That is your 17th place finisher tonight, but I will make sure that they know he was the fastest in practice. Matthew Halliday, one of the drivers competing here tonight from V8 Supercars, Will.
Yeah, indeed so. And that's the thing as well. Even though some of the drivers didn't finish inside the top 10, Evan, the fact that they did good performances in qualifying, good performances in terms of the race itself as well. I don't want to go back to Oriol Servia. And I was saying in the race itself, even though he had an incident earlier on, he ended up sticking within about a second for a long time of your race leader.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that in this race, and again, the goal for these guys, come here, have some fun for a good cause. Outside of the guys who didn't have an issue, which is a limited group. I mean, even, Mitchell Young, who came home second, was able to limp home in this one. Timmy Hill, somebody who sneaks home in third. So maybe Briscoe, Hill, and, one or two other drivers got the result that I think that they feel they deserved and they're happy with. But a lot of guys got into incidents early, and they were just having so much fun. They, didn't care about the result. They didn't shut off the sim and go home early. Hopped back out there, got back out there, and you were talking about a couple of battles at one point, about 2-3 laps down for position. There were guys out there fighting with guys who were 20 laps behind them or 15 laps in front of them, just having a lot of fun.
Well, one more interview to go. That is Tommy Kendall. Evan? No?
Yeah, catch it up. With one more guy here tonight on this one. Tommy Kendall comes home in number 13 tonight. Tommy, congratulations for you guys on getting a relatively good result. I think based on how you guys looked, you were another one of the guys that we talked about earlier on tonight who seemed to have this thing figured out. Qualified in the 16th position, but was third in practice when it was out there earlier tonight. You have fun out there tonight, I guess, is the most important thing.
I did have a good time. It's a good point to stay. We'll just go on to the next one. Oh, sorry, wrong interview. Yeah, I had a great time, and I've taken some heat because I feel like the person at the top of the ski slope with the best gear that can't ski. Because being here as part of the CXC team, and I've known Chris Constantine since before he started this company. He was just a little kid, and so he treats me a lot better than I deserve given my skills at this. So they always make me feel at home. But I had a plan that was the only toe in all the practice I've done was in that practice session, which vaulted me up to third. So that was definitely a highlight. But my plan was if I qualified where I did or somewhere like that, I said, you know what, as hard as this is to do, I need to just get out of the trouble and stay out of trouble. So it's not racing, but I'm like, hey, if I want the best finish, and it was kind of going according to plan. I got caught up in someone's thing, made a quick pit stop, but came out in 11th. And was just kind of cruising around on my own lap. I ended up, would have been right behind Alex Gurney, and then got tangled up with someone. I think Dan Clark was wrecked and trying to get to the pits and lost it again, I think, and trapped me. So everybody's got their wreck stories or multiple ones. So, but it doesn't, I'm going to be a little banged up, a little sore. But these simulators rough you up a little. Actually, last night I had to knock off early, and I had to dial back the feedback because I'm actually starting to get a blister because of the steering effort at PIR. Shows you that I've got kind of gone soft in my lack of racing activity. But, it's a cool event, cool cause. We miss Justin, and nice to be involved in something that can raise a little money for those beautiful girls of his. But just it is a fun event. But we take it serious. There's everyone out there. I had to console Servia. He's going frame by frame with his wreck with Will Power, and I had to kind of talk him off the ledge a little bit out there. So it's all for fun, but we take it pretty seriously.
You're not the only one. I think he was talking with Will about it too. So we asked him if that's going to carry over to next year between those two guys there. But into tonight, so many guys from different racing disciplines on track at once. I know obviously it's awesome and it's fun for these guys to be able to go and race. For a lot of guys, something that they haven't raced before. For some guys, hop back in a car that they've driven in the past. But especially to go 3 wide into a corner, you've got a NASCAR guy on the inside, you got an IndyCar guy in the middle, and somebody on the outside who does a lot more of the road stuff for you. You've kind of had a couple of opportunities to go here and there on both disciplines, SCCA stuff as well as NASCAR stuff. So what was it like coming to the Oval? Because I know in past years we've had road courses here and there. We gave you guys a little bit of a bull ring tonight to deal with.
I liked it. I mean, I've been watching Indy cars at Phoenix since back in the the 80s, late 80s, early 90s when Rick Mears and Denny Sullivan, Ray Hall, and those guys were getting after it. Fittipaldi, PT, and so I've got a lot of visceral memories of how fast those cars are around there. And so being in a car with a first-rate sim, it's a rush, and the stuff's coming at you fast. I mean, when you go out for a practice session, if you're not paying attention, you drift up into the line, you see the guy just tumbling past you. So, I mean, you really have to be switched on because the stuff's coming at you so fast. It's a thrill for me. The feel is great, like the long runs that I worked on, trying to figure out which line's more sensitive to being pitched. And that is one of the things where the feedback helps you. When it goes a little bit soft, it's like in the race car, they've really improved that aspect of the simulators, which is one of the hard things is to feel the front tires, and that's pretty darn good right now. So, it's a thrill. I never got into an IndyCar race, always wanted to, so this is the next best thing.
A good result in it as well for you guys, and it looked like you knew what you were doing out there with that third place at a practice session earlier tonight. I believe you're the last one hanging out. I think we've kept you hanging out for a little bit to talk with us, so we'll let you take off here. Before we let you do, though, anybody that you wanted to give a shout-out to?
Well, I always need to give a shout-out to the wife. She's always like, give me a shout-out, and I can't always, like when I'm calling the races and so forth. But, honey, I'll be home soon. Shout-out to Caroline, my girl for the last 32 years. And then also to everybody here at CXC and the folks at iRacing, my fellow competitors and fans. So I'm going to tune in to watch this as a fan one of these days, and thanks for tuning in as well.
Tommy, it was a pleasure having you in this race. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Congratulations, 13th place result. Maybe we'll see if you come back another time and maybe try to improve on that one. Hopefully we'll see you soon.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks to all the people who's done interviews over at CXC, and also, again, having to CXC Simulations themselves. It's really good to get a group of people all racing at one time in the same room. And you know what? I don't think there were any fistfights.
No, I mean, they cut the cameras off after, so maybe if nobody hopped into the rig with somebody else, it would at it. But who knows what the conversation's going to be on the way back home tonight. No, again, it's funny because you got guys who maybe have never met each other, or guys who are good friends, whether they've raced with each other on the real world side of things or not, or, people who just met today and having some fun. And I think that's the biggest thing is not only is it a cool experience for iRacing and the iRacing community to have this event to see these guys, but I think that those guys had as much fun, equally as much, if not more fun, than I think everybody at iRacing does putting this kind of a thing together. And this has continued to grow and grow and grow over the last couple of years. We started back in 2011. Scott Speed won a race at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Shane Van Gisbergen, won at Watkins Glen. And, names continue to go on. Chad McCumbee, Ryan Truex, Philip Eng, Timmy Hill, Richie Stanaway, the names that have won this race. Chase Briscoe gets to add himself to that rather exclusive fraternity, if you will, by getting the job done here tonight. And again, we mixed it up this year. Not seen these Indy cars before, not seen Phoenix before. 2017 is going to be here very shortly, and I'm sure that the guys at iRacing are going to have something fantastic again.
Apparently, I've got to do the "but wait, there's more" moment, and I'm going to have to force you down here. And at the same time as well, don't forget, if you are a new member to iRacing and you've not watched an iRacing broadcast before, you might not have iRacing already, well, good news, 50% off all new memberships. Just head over to iRacing.com right now in order to know that one. Evan, did we find out who it was?
I believe we may have an opportunity to talk with Townsend Bell. We're working on seeing if that's going to be possible. He was one of the group of drivers who was hanging out at CXC tonight, and another one of the guys who came into tonight, I think, looking for a good result. One of the IndyCar guys, along with names that we've talked about as well, Will Power, talking to earlier on here, post-race Oriole survey and such. Townsend got a P19, Will, and I think they might have him.
Yep, indeed. Townsend, are you there?
Hello. Yeah, I'm
Hello. So you got yourself P19 here today. Not the best result you're after, but talk us through your iRacing Pro Racer Champions.
I think it's an appropriate result, given my ability, which is demonstrated year after year to be incredibly pathetic. It's tough. I mean, it's you're out there trying to figure out how you can adjust the handling of your IndyCar when you're not allowed to adjust it, and you just marvel at some of these guys like Kyle Larson and Mitchell DeYoung and Alex Gurney that are sim masters. And it got better as the race went on, but man, I was struggling. I got caught up in 3 or 4 different incidents, but it was fun. I love coming out here to CXC. It's a good time every year.
I'm going to get really technical here because it's interesting, because the NASCAR drivers don't have in-car adjustments to the level that you have in the Verizon IndyCar series. You got anti-roll bars, you got weight jackets normally, but not in a fixed race. Did that impact on your ability to be able to wheel that car around here? Were you trying to find a lever that you just couldn't find here today?
Well, when I showed up for practice, I mean, part of my best excuse I can give you is that it's supposed to rain here in Los Angeles tomorrow. So I was on my roof at about 2 o'clock this afternoon trying to waterproof my son's skylight. And all the while, as I'm sitting there, I'm using like Flex Seal or something. All the while, I'm thinking to myself, if I don't get to CXC soon, I'm not going to have any practice. Sure enough, I think I was the last guy here. But beyond all that, I just don't think that I don't think simulator racing and Townsend Bell that's not a winning combination. And I bow down to the guys that are really good at it, because it's humbling, man. You just can't figure out. I'm wide open on my new tires, and I can't figure out how to find that extra tenth. So it's pretty impressive to see these guys rip around, and most importantly, we had a lot of fun.
Well, we'll offer you an alternative suggestion then, because of course many people know you race in a variety of motorsports, but you also commentate for the NBC Sports Network. Why don't you just join us next year?
I think that'd be a much safer bet, a lot easier on my ego, because I leave here. I think I've done this 2 or 3 times now, and I'll drive home and think to myself, "Oh God, I'm useless. My career's over. I'm never going to drive a race car again." And then I'll show up at a place like Daytona, and the first 20 seconds, I feel like, okay, I'm back at home now. And in fairness, it just takes time. It's like anything else in life. It's like my golf swing. My golf swing's about as good as my sim racing. And you have to put the time in. There's no shortcuts. And I think that's a big validation for sim racing, which is to say that you can't just pop in and be good. You really have to apply yourself, and learn and study and improve your technique.
But the good thing is you did beat Will Power. So, maybe we'll get you a Penske ride for next year based upon that.
Right. I don't think so.
But before we let you go, of course, I know you've got many friends, many fans, many sponsors. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Well, I mean, just Chris at CXC. I've known Chris and his company since it was literally in his living room. And it's so impressive what they've accomplished. For anybody that's into sim racing, they're located right next to the LAX airport. They've got an amazing factory now. It's probably, 15 or 20,000 square feet here. The latest technology, I was driving with a VR headset tonight, which was super cool. Very realistic. It gives you a fully immersive experience. So I just want to thank CXC. They've been absolutely fantastic. And if my son's watching, you should be doing your homework right now. Dad's going to be home soon to crack open a can. So get after it.
My only disappointing thing, Townsend, is that I actually wore my flat cap tonight just for you. And then I see on the interview screen you're wearing a normal baseball cap. What's going on?
You wore your, what do you call it, Paperboy. Yeah, well, I mean, I got my What You Got show. We just finished season 3. But you never know. You never know, the Paperboy might make a comeback at some point. But now, with guys like you wearing it, it's hard to match up. So I'm trying to, apparently this takes 5 years off my perceived age by going flat cap.
I agree. I completely agree. Well, I'll hopefully see you in May. Townsend Bell there, coming home, P number 19. Evan, we're getting with us next year.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. I think we were talking about, obviously the differences between crashing a car on the sim and in the real world of things. I think if you ask Will Power, who finished one position behind him, I think he'll agree that we should get the 28 up here with us next year instead.
And that is almost all we've got time for today. But, well, Evan, it's been a crazy race from start to finish. Carl Larson had it in the bag for the first 40 laps, and then pandemonium.
And when you say he had it, I mean, he had it. He was gone at points, 4.4 seconds ahead, I think, for the bulk of this race. He led the most laps. And then I said, I don't know. There's a lot of lap traffic. There's a lot of fighting going on. And then that 4.4 seconds or so came 2 seconds. And then it became 1 second. And the next thing you know, we were able to kind of watch that unfold almost as if it was, a 250-lap race in slow motion. And we were watching it happen here and there. And all of a sudden, those final 5 laps, everything that we were following up to that point just kind of got tossed out the window. And somehow, through the fray, and when it's all said and done, it's Chase Briscoe who wins it. And again, I think we talked about him at the start of the broadcast. We ran through where he was at the start, and that might have been it. And tonight, maybe not talking about you might have been a good thing, because it might have jinxed a few people here or there.
Yeah, indeed. So, especially those last 10 laps. Don't forget as well, want to give a shout out one more time to CXC Simulations, but also to both iRacing and CXC Simulations for the combined $4,000 that they will be sending over to the Justin Wilson Children Foundation in the winner's name. Of course, that is Chase Briscoe, honouring a member who always was the life and blood of these Pro Racer champions, Justin Wilson, Evan.
Yeah, it was fantastic to have everybody here for tonight's race, but I think that, while everybody was here and with the interest of being able to benefit a good cause, I think it meant, that much more for the guys here, and there were several drivers who, knew Justin Wilson, and as well a lot of the IndyCar guys here as well. Being a part of an event like this, Stefan Wilson was in tonight's race, so good stuff. Congratulations to Chase Briscoe, and I think that the big takeaway here, not only was it a fun night, but it was a fun night for a great cause.
Indeed so. And Justin Wilson's memory and legacy of the Pro Racer champions living on through this and hopefully future broadcasts. And that's it. That's all we got time for. So thank you so much for being a part of the 6th annual iRacing Pro Racer Champions here this evening. From Hugo Louise on cameras, Evan Pasoko, Ivan Wilvinson, and we will talk to you all next time. Good night.